Today, I'm going to talk about something. It's a question that people ask my husband all the time. What's it like to be married to Laura Sanders?
Well, it's great being married to you. Been married to you almost 20 years. It's fantastic. And it requires a lot of patience and it requires a commitment to the other person's happiness. I want to support you in what you're trying to accomplish with Laura Sanders, the brand, right? The Laura Sanders, the Realtor, Laura Sanders, the business owner, Laura Sanders, the radio host. And you try to support me in everything I do. And I think the fact that we keep those things very much in focus has been part of the success. We didn't start off doing that real well, but I think we do it pretty well today. I think that's really important for couples to do is schedule time that's the together time, not the, one person supporting the other time. The reality is that is going to be a good bit of it, right? Is me supporting your efforts or you supporting mine, but you have to schedule that time for that's just the together stuff.
Jealousy over making more money than the other spouse. What do you tell men about that?
Yeah, they did. It was a great Eagles song, Get Over It. The reality is, that's an ego. Congratulations, we've all got one. If you don't like it and it's a big issue for you, then compete. Go make more. And then you guys can celebrate that. Your success is my success. My success is your success.
Hi, and welcome to Making Money with Laura Sanders, and I am your host, Laura Sanders. Every week, I talk about something that will help you make a little money, save a little money, or maybe just help you navigate this crazy world. Today, I'm going to talk about something. It's a question that people ask my husband all the time. What's it like to be married to Laura Sanders? Now, you're probably thinking, what does that have to do with making money? Well, if he didn't know how to manage living with a top producing agent, someone that does a lot of business, I'm sure my customers want to know too, how do you get all this stuff done and still have a happy marriage, raise your children, and get it all done? Michael Cochran, my husband, is going to tell you, and I know you're all interested in hearing. So welcome, Mr. Cochran. Yes, my name is Sanders, but this is Mr. Cochran.
Hello,
people
dear.
always
How
ask.
Yeah, well, tell them.
You tell them, what's it like to be married to me?
So, well, it's great being married to you. Been married to you almost 20 years. It's fantastic. And it requires a lot of patience and it requires a commitment to the other person's happiness. So no, I don't think you and I have all the answers by any means. I wish we had all the answers. We probably could have not held a forum on it. We probably could have made a real living doing that. But it's I think it requires a lot of commitment from both people, right? I don't know that you being ultra successful is any different than being married to you any other way, really. I mean, if you think about it, when we first met,
disagree. No, I disagree. Can I tell you why?
Of course.
I think that more people expect that the woman's going to stay home, take care of the children. So I think that it's expected of the man to be the high income producing person. Not that you don't do well, you do, but and trust me, you were my expectation of what I lived up to. When I got married to you, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna beat this guy. And that was a lot to hit. Like I was like, I gotta do real. No, I'm just kidding. That's not what it was. But what I'm saying is most people expect the wives to be exactly that. Do laundry, which I do. I do the laundry. They expect you to cook, but you're great at that. And they expect you to be home with the kids. So when you say that it's expected either way, I disagree. The world is changing. I will say the world is changing.
Yeah.
But
well, look, the other part is we're salespeople, both of us. And so, you're talking about two similar personalities that approach life from in a lot of things the same perspective, right? And I think that's part of it is, you got to have the same perspective on what you're trying to accomplish. And for me, I think the thing that has always made us work, and I think that as I go to dinner with other couples who are in similar situations to us, it's that the wife has her life, the husband has his life, and then they have their life together. And that is, I want to support you in what you're trying to accomplish with Laura Sanders, the brand, right? The Laura Sanders, the Realtor, Laura Sanders, the business owner, Laura Sanders, the radio host, and you try to support me in everything I do. And then there's the together part of it, and I think the fact that we keep those things very much in focus has been part of the success. We didn't start off doing that real well, but I think we do it pretty well today.
That is true. So I would say also the success and not that just that I'm successful at what I do, but you're right. We didn't start off well. We fought. We had difference of opinions. You're such a great salesperson. You sold me yourself and 3 children. That's like amazing sales skills. So I've learned from the best. Anybody can sell a woman who's 29 years old, 3 children, and himself. That's amazing salesmanship. But you're right. We fought. It's difference in parenting, but growing together in that. And I think that a lot of people will say to you when they walk up to you, how do you do it with her? And you said, I speak Laura.
Yeah. Let people be themselves, right? I mean, look, I'm invested in you. I'm not, whether you're a top realtor or not a top anything. I'm invested in you. I'm invested in who you are. And I think that a lot of times, especially young people in young marriages, do everything they can to control situations. And a lot of it's just allowing your partner to be themselves, allow them to, succeed, allow them to fail.
That's true. I know some people might say, and they're thinking that when they're listening to this show, they'll say, well, yeah, if my wife did what she does, I'd deal with it too, right? Let's be honest.
Yeah,
let's just call it out, right? No, I'm being serious.
Yeah, then they would. No, I'm serious too. They would be listening to phone calls during their dinners. They would be listening to phone calls during every ride and every trip. They would be listening to phone calls on every vacation they ever took. They would be seeing their wife wake up at 3:00 in the morning to respond to messages that needed to be taken care of back home, or finding a business center in a hotel to be able to log on to the MLS. I mean, look, you better be willing to take on some of the things that aren't so glamorous at the same time you're taking on the glamour.
That's true. And you know what? You are so quick and witty, and you come up with things all the time that you can say, exactly what to say, when to say it. And so to even think of, and to say, I've got a reasoning behind how I put up with her and, the things she does. I have a friend that I've been friends with for a long time. And, I know he wanted to date me and go out with me. And he said to me, here we go. We fast forward 20 something years later. He says, I could never have put up with what you do. I would not have been, as much as you work, I would not put up with that. And I always tell people that if you were me, it wouldn't work, because I appreciate the fact that you're available when I need to be with my husband, where I'm not so much available. And
Not either. Look, I also think that having dealt with a lot of successful people throughout my career, not just be married to one, is that's just a reality. Is they're going to be a little scatterbrained. You're going to feel like maybe they are a couple of places at one time, but what we all need to understand is that time is probably the most precious commodity we all have, right? And if somebody gives you their time, use it.
We're going to talk about being present in your relationship, and definitely can save you some money if you are, because you won't be getting divorced. So stay tuned and we'll be right back.
At JK Closing Attorneys, we do all of the same things that a title company does, but with the benefits of being a law office. We can help with residential real estate, short sales, commercial real estate, refinances, 1031 exchanges, and FRIPTA withholding.
Contact JK Closing Attorneys today at 954-332-3111. Again, that is 954-332-3111.
Whether you're buying, selling, refinancing, or building your dream home, you have a lot riding on your loan specialist. Max Fish, a top 1% mortgage loan officer in the nation, will give you a same-day qualifying quote. Max Fish is committed to providing his customers with mortgage services that exceed their expectations. Ensuring that you make the right choice for you and your family is his ultimate goal. Contact Max Fish today at 954-729-6933 or max.fisch@nwmcorp.net.
Welcome back to Making Money with Laura Sanders. And this episode is different because I always have people asking about me and my husband and how he puts up with me. And I was like, what do you mean puts up with me? I put up with him. So everybody says, how do you put up with her? I said, I put up with him. Just kidding.
Well, that's true.
No, you're
Okay
a good
with that.
husband. You make dinner
I appreciate that too.
for the children. You bring the laundry upstairs. Anyway, so tell us a little bit more about some of the problems that we've seen in the past, which was being present. That is, I think, the hardest thing.
I think it is. I think that there's a couple of pieces to it. One is, you and I spend time scheduling it, right? So I think that's really important for couples to do is schedule time that's the together time, not the, one person supporting the other time. The reality is that is going to be a good bit of it, right? Is me supporting your efforts or you supporting mine, but you have to schedule that time for that's just the together stuff, right? And I think you and I do a pretty good job of that. I think the other part of being present is that and especially in high success type stuff, you got so many failures that nobody sees. Everybody always sees the success. They don't see the customer situation that didn't go the way we wanted it to go, and the effects that had on the spouse. And we see it, between each other of when things don't work out. So I think you also have to celebrate the successes of the other person, right? You have to have that time to really celebrate the wins and try to celebrate the wins together, because they are wins together. Because there's going to be those moments that are going to be all the hard work that goes into becoming a success, making your dreams happen.
Yeah, I mean, you put in a lot. Just even when we had the 2-year anniversary of Making Money with Laura Sanders, you were helping me and you broke your wrist. I mean,
that is true. That may have been a coordination.
No, I mean, yeah, but no, it's just bad location. But I have to say, better you than a guest.
Yes, true. Absolutely. Better me than a guest. No doubt about it.
Or me. I mean, better me or you than a guest is what I meant.
Yes, honey. Yeah, that's another tip. Yes, honey.
So really people are going to ask again. They're going to say, no, seriously, how do you put up with her?
Well, look, I mean, I think that's a question for us all, right? About, just what we want out of life. And you're not going to get, nirvana. To be honest with you, I don't think half of us would want to hang out with ourselves full time, let alone, others. But the reality is you really are invested in the other person's happiness. And look, the longer you stay married, I think that for me gets deeper. It doesn't get less. It gets more, in the sense of wanting you to have all the things that you want out of this, and to support you in doing that. And also just helping find better ways to deal with the down things, right? The things that are troubling in it. You've gotten a lot better at dealing with the issues that used to bother you in business, whether that be not getting the listing or having a situation with a recommendation or a referral not go the right way. I mean, you've gotten a lot better at being able to navigate those waters. And, I think my job is to be somewhat calm when you're not, just to help you kind of deal with it and figure out your best way for you to navigate it.
I think one of the greatest things about being married to the right person is when, you know, I'm not sure about something or how to address something, or having that ability to bounce that off of you is really important to me. And that you're willing to listen and to help process those things. So again, when people say, how do you put up with her? Because they know how much I work. Everybody in the industry knows how much I work. My customers don't know, but I've had a lot of people over the years try to play having children against me to get the listing over me or to get the business over me and say, well, she's got kids. Listen, guys have kids. Guys have to be at their sports. It's not just the mom, right? I would say that if you put you and me up against a listing, you'd be busier than I was going to more sports than I did, right? I mean, but you saw that happen to me in the younger years when the kids were little.
Look, I think it's also a great example for kids, right? I mean, the reality is that they're always watching. We certainly have one that is always watching and not talking. And the example of hard work, the example of getting up early and staying up late and doing whatever it takes to get the job done. And then knowing when to create that downtime and go have fun, and when's the time you got to buckle up and be ready for the test. That's why, one of ours never missed honor roll and the other one's making honor roll now. And it's because, you put a real high premium on hard work, and you put a premium on doing what you say you're going to do. And that's also just a family dynamic I think we have, which is if you say you're going to do something, you do it. If you've RSVP'd around here, you go.
Oh, I have a thing with RSVP people. So if you're invited to a party and you RSVP, you better show up. And if you don't RSVP at all and don't come, I'm mad too. So just have this thing with parties.
Freaking show up.
Just freaking show up. But I will say we'll be married 20 years. And I would say that the last 5 have been better than the first 15.
Yeah, well, here's to the next 20.
Yeah, I can make that. I'm just thinking about my age and how much longer that is, and my knees, and I can do that.
We're all good. I'll wheel you around.
See, that's why, So basically, we got out of this is that, number one, when you're younger, it's not easy with small kids and working and trying to be good at whatever you do, running your job. You're going to be tired. It's going to be hard. Marriage isn't easy. You got to work through it. But in the end, if you really put the effort in, because in the end, marriage is way more than just, marriage. It's being there for each other, having that confidant, having that friend. And if you can't have that, then why be together? And like I said, I feel that over 20 years, we've grown closer and stronger, and I've become probably a little more neurotic in my work, but I am getting better at managing all of it and realizing how important it is to be present when with someone, not looking at my phone.
Said something else too in that little speech is that you have to be self-aware, and you have to be aware of what you're doing and what you're going through on both sides. And then, folks are able to adapt at that point. But a lot of folks get in and they're not very aware of their own behaviors or how that's affecting the family. And that's important.
I've moved a couple of times since I've been with you. And even in my job, that's helped me for my client's sake, right? Because you forget how backbreaking it is to move, right? So if you're actually acknowledging that, hey, you're getting ready to do something that's going to be backbreaking, it's stressful, it takes a lot of work, especially someone that's lived in their home for 30 plus years. Recognizing that And again, even when you're dealing with clients that are getting divorced, you know, listen, I think everybody has times they want to kill their spouses, you know. Probably shouldn't say kill on the radio, but you know what I mean.
Well, you've also done a lot of estate stuff too, where folks have lost parents or spouses, and those are their own issues, right? Because that person that has lost a spouse is really in a transition place in their life that they're losing the person who was supporting their interests. So you're meeting people at some pretty vulnerable times in their life. And a lot of times you're dealing with their largest investment. And so you're dealing with something that's extremely emotional. And from my side, that's the thing I've also tried to keep in mind is, a lot of times clients are maybe not as sensitive to what you're doing at the time they call or what time of the day it is or when
Christmas,
they're asking questions or
Easter.
how they're asking questions. But the reality is, it's a really emotional time for them. And so being sensitive to that, being empathetic to their situation, I think is also a big part of being supportive.
Well, I appreciate that. And in the end, what we always say is if you're thinking about buying or selling a home, you're looking for a top agent, you want somebody that's going to be dedicated, they're going to be really, I would say, sometimes very meticulous. That's really important as well. I would definitely say that you should definitely check out my website at www.laurasell.com. Any words of wisdom for our listeners out there when it comes to being
Yeah.
married to a high-end producing real estate agent? If there's other husbands out there married to realtors, what would be the top 3 pieces of advice you'd give to those men? Or I guess it could be women, but I would say let's go with the men right now because I think there's a lot of women realtors and I say that there's a lot of top producing ones. So what would your suggestions be to those husbands?
I mean, people, the same things that I've said already, really. I don't know that I'd have anything new to add to them.
Well, let's numerate,
I would say
given
though,
numbers like 1,
if
2.
you do want to buy or sell your house, I do think you should call Laura Sanders, though. That I 100% agree with. In
Even
fact,
when my
you
kids
should
were
call
like 3 years
anytime,
old, they
day
knew
or
my phone
night.
number.
Yes, day or night, you should definitely call. Not worry about whether or not it's disturbing, because we're going to answer the phone and get it done for you. Um,
We're answering the phone. Wait, who's we?
yes, it's a
Oh, now
we,
we're
honey.
French.
That's
Sweet.
called yes. See, that's the advice I give them is it's we. Yes, they have to remember it affects them as much as it affects you, right? Yes, it affects the realtor, but it also affects the family. So we're in this together.
Aww. What's the next thing?
Uh,
Come on. Chop, chop.
well, dear Lord, I mean, I think it's, I've said it. You've got to have a heart towards really wanting the other person to succeed at what they're doing. I think the other piece of
Oh,
advice I would say is,
I got something. We got 1 minute.
okay,
Jealousy over making more money than the other spouse. What do you tell
yeah, get
men
over it.
about that?
Yeah,
Get
get
over it?
over it.
You know, they wrote a
Get
song for
over it.
that.
Yeah, they did. It was a great Eagles song. Get over it. And that's what I would tell guys. The reality is, that's an ego. Congratulations, we've all got one. If you don't like it and it's a big issue for you, then compete. Go make more, and then you guys can celebrate that. Because at the end of the day, your success is my success. My success is your success, all the way through the kids. So, my message to guys with massive egos is get over yourself. It ain't that big a deal.
No, and it all go as you've always told me, it's all going in the same place. Into my closet.
That's true for everybody, sweetie. And it is 100% right.
Well, like always, I want to thank you for being my guest tonight because I just thought that People ask all the time, how does your husband put up with you? What's your marriage like? Now you know, aren't you jealous? So, but you can give Laura Sanders a call. I'll come sell your house, get you top dollar, and make sure your house is showing as good as my marriage. So again, Laura Sanders, Remax Direct, 954-650-0827. Until next week, see you then. Bye.